And really what I was doing was looking for an external source of parenting, basically, of nurturing, of leading, of hoping someone that would give me what I needed. And really what I needed was to know that I was an adult and that I was responsible and accountable for myself. Sure, there were wounds that I had that I didn't cause. How does it go? I'm not responsible for them, but I am accountable, or maybe it's the inverse, but basically I didn't cause it. It's not my fault, but I need to be the one to fix it because nobody else will. And if I don't, then I'll just keep going through life hurting people through my own immaturity, clinginess, neediness. Some things I had written down that I wanted to talk about. Let's see what else. Detachment from the outcome, parenting yourself, nurturing and leading myself. How do I make an effort to get my needs met? That was one thing I puzzled over of how do I get my needs met? There's this interesting dynamic at play of, as an individual, it is impossible to provide yourself with a sense of community that requires other people, categorically. So how does that work? Well, you are responsible for yourself as the individual to insert yourself into places, events, situations that allow you to grow a sense of community. And once you meet those people, having an appropriate approach to relationships and people that can or cannot, or maybe it's inappropriate for them to meet your needs. And maybe, to be more specific, the needs of emotional intimacy, of support. Being able to confide in someone. If you're telling someone about your greatest childhood trauma and you met them 3 hours ago, well, that might be an inappropriate form of emotional intimacy. Not always, but it can be, depending on who they are, what the dynamic is, what the situation is, the context of how you met. But I would immediately dive in and just try and get the people to take care of those needs without even realizing it. And I had never realized in myself that that's what I was doing. It was such an ingrained part of my reality. It was like growing a new limb neurologically, to finally be able to realize, oh, I'm responsible for myself. I need to take care of myself. I need to stop looking for that to begin from an external point. It's inside me now. I am accountable. I am an adult. It's on me. And then to also learn that combined with the fact that we as human beings are social creatures. We thrive in relationships. That's what we're adapted for. And as I went, I realized more and more how much wasn't taught at church. I wasn't taught how to be an adult at church. I was not taught how to get my needs met. I was not taught how to lead myself and to nurture myself emotionally. Maybe you could make the argument that they do teach that spiritually, but at the end of the day, that's not the be-all, end-all of human existence. There's so much more there's so much more to our existence. And so to neglect that, I think, is an oversight, to put it lightly. The creator of the universe, this being that knows us individually by name, loves us as a father, has nothing to say about emotional maturity, boundaries, how to nurture yourself, to lead yourself, how to feel empowered to be healthy in relationships. Has nothing to say about any of that? That didn't make any sense. So I put it on my shelf. The shelf being a little corner of your mind of doubts that you have or inconsistencies. People might call it cognitive dissonance, whatever you want to say. The allegory, the metaphor of the shelf is all of those types of things go in this place, and you don't think about it until it gets too heavy and breaks. And the shelf breaking is realizing, oh, religion's all just made up. Or realizing you don't believe it, or it doesn't make sense. Finally accepting that. So that right there, I think, opened up the door for me to be able to take a break from church, because I realized that everything that I was doing, reading the scriptures, praying, going to church, singles ward, it was bringing me no closer to being able to have a healthy relationship, which was weird, because having a healthy relationship is required for exaltation. To get into the celestial kingdom, you have to be married in the temple. Well, how do you get there? You get a girlfriend. You get someone that's willing to marry you. And what's the point if you're not in a healthy relationship? Those don't last. Those can't last. If you're not happy in your relationship, why be there? The point of all this is, some people in the church call it the plan of happiness. Is it the plan of happiness if you're not happy? You can't be happy if you're not healthy in relationships. Families are the most important thing in all of eternity. You see what was going on here for me? Under the surface, it just, those thoughts didn't challenge me directly, but it was more just this vague sense of, I need to learn something over here so that I can come back and fulfill all these requirements to go to the temple. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I was the one that was deficient. Not that there's anything wrong with the church. I felt like that at the time. I felt that I was still just going along the path that was prescribed for me, and the path that was true, this reality. I had no concept if I was perfectly imperfect, and then I needed help. So I spent a year there, 2014 to 2015, somewhere around that time scale. About a year. I think I got my year coin, and after a while I moved to Phoenix for school, and that's another video, but I didn't pick it up more than that. I felt like I had learned a lot. I felt like I had a lot to implement. Those kinds of concepts you learn about, and they take a lifetime to implement, to practice. And that's what it is. It's a lifetime of practice. It's something you do your whole life.